Good afternoon once again, everyone, and welcome to this session. Here we'll be talking about application of the continuous improvements program and the operational excellence training we are being to in the finding the existing problem and solution in the yam seed processing. Next slide, please. Okay. This training has helped us to understand the tools that we can use in maximizing value deliveries to our customer in time, to avoid mistake, for team management, to reduce waste, and the list continues. So actually, there are 6 participants that went for this training, but today 3 of us will be making this presentation. And I've said earlier, this has helped us to identify problems and the solution in the seed yam processing. Let me first of all introduce yam to some of us that may not know about yam. Yam is a food crop in West Africa, Asia, Pacific, and the other Latin American countries. In West Africa here, it impacts more than 300 million people's lives. It is cultivated on 6.7 million hectares of land. And the annual production is 58 million tons between 2010 and 2016. That is FAO data. More than 600 known species. It is very nutritional and used for medicinal purposes. The cash income from yam is around $13.7 billion, which exceeds other staple crops, and that makes it to be a very important crop. Then, when we talk about the sociocultural importance of it, we can see the use of yam in, when you want to marry wife here, you need yam as part of the bride price. And also we can see the picture of a new yam festival there, which is annual celebration around West Africa. Talking about the flora of yam, the plant has both male and female flowers born on separate plants with a rare occurrence of monoecious. So as I think we can see the picture there, the first one is the male flower where you have the pollens. The second one is the female flower, and the last picture there is the monoecious flower. Next slide, please. So in this project, we are involved in clear and cut accurate definition of our project. Accurate definition of project is one of the most important action you can take to ensure the success of the project. Then defining a project is a process of selection and reduction of the ideas and perspective of those involved into a set of clearly defined objectives, key success criteria, and evaluate the risk. In this project, our key statements are high quality, productivity and accuracy, optimization, viability, synchronization, and so on. We therefore want to improve viability of stored breeding materials by optimizing operations. Next slide, please. To improve viability of stored breeding materials by optimizing operations, improving productivities and accuracy, and enhancing operation to provide high quality breeder seed. Next slide, please. Okay. Current impact and desired state. What we have currently here is here is the problem that have been identified. The first one there is pollination success is low, between 20 to 26%. Then we have lack of storage facilities for pollens and seeds. It's possible to store the pollens and use them when you need them than to always go back to field to plant yam to get pollens when you want to pollinate. So it will be better to have storage facility for pollens as well as the seeds. We have low seed germination. Seed counters are not there. We count manually. Then we are not applying the standard SOP and the flow chart in activities. And then we have lack of conveniences around the pollination blocks. Toilets, portable waters, rain shed are not there. So when rain starts falling, the pollinators, they are either stranded or they are stay there and they are beaten by rain, sometimes with their tablets in their hands. And when they need to drink water, they have problem of motion. They have to trek long distance before they can get water to drink. And also when they need to go to toilet, now everywhere is cultivated, so the nearby bush that may be used may still be far away, or there's no toilet at all. Then we have high pollinators turnover. These are people that carry out pollination in yam. They are temporary people. So when we hire them and the season is over, they have to go. And by this, we are losing talents. We are losing our skilled pollinators. And we have high turnover of them. So what is the impact of this on the breeding program? Of course, when we have low pollination success, the cultivar development becomes a problem. Then the cost of breeding and the breeding cycle becomes more increased. It's become longer. The planting population becomes lower. Then we cannot challenge the auditing system. You need data to know who does what when. Who did this pollination in this year? That kind of system is not there. So you have challenge in auditing the system. Then lack of conveniences around the pollination blocks is a problem that creates difficult working condition. A lot of time is wasted and talent is equally lost. Next slide, please. So what we desire to see is improved success rate in pollination. I want to see storage facilities for pollen and seed. We love to see germination success becoming better. We want to apply SOP to the pollination process. We really wish to retain the pollinators so that at least for quite a number of years, we will be able to keep those ones that have been trained. They want to automate the data collection process in the pollination process so as to ensure error-proof breeding process. Next one, please. Okay, so yam breeding EiB-IITA has been in existence for years. A lot of effective improvement has been made regarding seed delivery. However, artificial pollination process is challenged with poor success rates, as it has been mentioned earlier, and this condition requires improvements. Next slide, please. So, for us to be able to improve on the process, we actually need to map the process. And this is one of the tools that we have learned during the CI class. This is the process description for seed generation in yam, for pollination. The first one we have there is you establish your field, then the field is maintained. After then, you go there to check for flower initiation. Then when the flowers are initiated, pollinators are hired. They are trained, they do some trial runs, then we commence the pollination process with activities like bagging of female flower, testing the pollen viabilities, and pollination. Then we count the fruit at the end. So the scope of this project will start from the selection of the parent material down to the seed generation. We'll cover the application of SOP, which can be used for our work and as well as to train other students and partners. Of course, the limitation that we have to the achievement of this is human resources, which has been identified earlier, and lack of storage facilities. So, next slide, please. So, we therefore come down to our goals to reduce the rate of pollinators turnover, to acquire technology for testing pollen viability, to acquire proper storage facilities for seed and pollens, then improve germination rate for stored seed and application of SOP. So this comes down to deliverables, things that we love to see. Next slide, please. The deliverables, things that we will see at the end of this project is that we now have a manual to follow. When you want to pollinate, you know the step-by-step procedure to follow. Then there will be increase in the genetic diversity of the germplasm in the yam breeding, and then improve storage to cut down on the cost of developing new varieties, improve seed system efficiency, reduce rates of pollinators turnover. Okay, next one, which is where I'm going to stop, right? Okay, so here we have metrics, what we have and what we have currently and what we expect to see. On this side here is current status, and the next one is expectations. So from 20 to 26 pollination rates, we hope to see at least 50% pollination success rate. We want to harmonize all the available SOPs that have been developed in the past. Then we can have it as a single document for yam pollination. Then we want to see the facilities that we can use to stop pollens. And then we want to improve the seed germination. We wish to reduce the pollinators turnover, then reduce the breeding cost, and finally increase our genetic recombination. Please, Christabel, over to you.
Thanks, Teresa. That should be Francis. I'm coming after Francis.
Thank you very much. Metrics that talks about the current status and expectation, the previous slide, is one of the tools that we learned. Increasing pollination success to at least 50% is supposed to be in 3 breeding cycles, not just once, because we know what it entails. Next slide, please. The next slide talks about the current communication system that represent our spaghetti diagram. Talks about activities among the players, how they communicate, and all that and all that. So we now propose a project communication plan for the project team. And it talks about the time of meeting, frequency of meeting, and the agenda of the meeting of the project team. Stated there in the next slide. Please, next slide. Now, the project team is also supposed to meet with breeders at regular intervals for proper communication flow, for understanding. And since we've been here, we've been talking about the place of communication in our breeding project. Apart from the project team and breeders meeting, there is supposed to be meeting also between the project team, the breeders, the partners, and the donors at the scheduled time that we put there. Next slide, please. We identified our customers as breeders, university students and interns, EiB-IITA scientists, national agricultural research systems, donors, international research partners, and private seed companies. Next slide, please. Then we used another tool, critical to customers. What is critical to customers? What is the need? What is the driver of the need? What is critical to quality at project level? We will only take EiB-IITA breeders to explain everything. Of course, is visual. Viable seed is what the breeders need. More improved lines is the driver. And critical to quality is, sorry, please, I'm having sight issue. Increase in germination percentage. Now, these things are self-explanatory. When you have low germination percentage, it affects your quality. More improved lines will give you better results, better diversity. Viable seed is critical to the need of the breeders. And so you see under the different subheads, the international research partners, NAS, donors, and privacy companies, there are so many things they are placing demand on the system. Then we did a value stream map, and another tool in the next slide, how the different players relate. Breeders contribute to the work plan, the database, and the YAM base in the information system. From there, the supplier here is mapped as a farm manager who does the field allocation for the material flow component of the value stream map. Field establishment, field management, pollination, harvesting, and storage are the things that we consider under the material flows. Site selection, field preparation, plot layout, and planting are the processes that you have under the field establishment. So it goes for field management, pollination, harvesting, and finally the storage. Next slide. Then in the course of our work, we used a tool that is called EiB-IITA. We identified waste in the area of transportation and movement, waiting time to move workers. We identified waste in the area of inventory and cluttering of materials in the store. Going back and forth is the motion. People going to toilet and wanting water to drink while at their duty post, running up and down and wasting a lot of time. There's also a waiting period. Some of it are due to the natural elements where you don't have irrigation and you have to wait for rain-fed agriculture. Delay in planting and manual counting of fruits are some of the waiting and the waste that we identified. Overproduction is part of it, as typified by manual weeding. Untimely land preparation, it's another one. Lack of proper storage is another one. Defects such as handwriting of field labels and manual data collection, it's a challenge. In the area of overprocessing, land preparation could be done and it is more than what is needed, or 1 hectare is requested for, half hectare is planted. Over-pollination and under-pollination were also identified. And unutilized talents that we identify comes in the area of high turnover of pollinators. Some of them are very good, but because it's a temporary job, by the time you need them, they have gone in search of greener pastures. And it makes the whole thing difficult. Now, I want to transfer to Zambia for the eating of the fish bone.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I'm around. Thank you so much. Thank you for the great presentation. Yes, so I'll continue from where Francis has left from. So with all the challenges or all the problems that were identified as highlighted by my two colleagues, we thought of first of all focusing on one of them, which, because we can't solve all the problems at once. So we thought of focusing on one so that we can try and solve this one, then we'll move on to the others. So the one that we thought of focusing on is the low pollination success, which we saw, which was highlighted to be 20 to about 26. So in this case, I'm going to talk about the root cause analysis that we did for us now to come to the root cause of this problem that we intend to solve. So the first tool that we used for us now to find the cause of this problem was the fishbone diagram. So the fishbone diagram is actually the cause and effect tool, which help us actually to understand, which were stressed to us the main causes and the sub-causes. So in this case, the main causes have been categorized into 6. We have the materials, the methods, personnel, machine, environment, and measurements. So these are the 6 main causes. But under the 6 main causes, we have the sub-causes. So as a group, we sat together and started brainstorming on what we thought were the sub-causes. So if you see on materials, we identified some, on method, we identified on personnel, and all of them we did So after we identified the sub-causes, we now decided to vote. We use the voting techniques for us now to identify the most likely cause and the causes of this problem we have identified. So the circles you are seeing, the red and the green, are our votes. We voted. The green one is what we thought could be the main cause of the problem. So after we voted, we used another tool now for us to understand the relationship among these causes, because we have a lot of causes. So we needed to understand what would be the main driver among these causes. Next slide, please. So to understand now which one would be the main driver among the causes that we identified, we picked, so the ones that we voted, the one I showed you earlier on about, we picked 8 of them. And as a group, again, we started now using the interrelation diagram, which helped us now to understand which one would be the main driver of these causes that we found. So the one where we're having more arrows coming and pointing to the others, meaning it is having more effect on these other problems, on these causes that we found. So if we solve the one that is affecting most of these causes we found, we are thinking it will actually eliminate the problem that we initially identified, which is low pollination success. So from the interrelation diagram, you find that the eye turnover rate is the one which was affecting most of these causes that we identified. And we thought, okay, as a group, let's work on the eye turnover rate and see how this was going to help us solve the problem. So to do that, before we could solve it, we still wanted to go in details and see if there's any other cause for eye turnover rate. So to do that, we use the 5Y2. Next slide, please. So the 5Y2 will also help us now to go in detail of this cause that we found, because the cause that we found was eye turnover rate of pollinators affecting the problem we had. So now to do that, we asked ourselves, why are we having the eye turnover rate? The answer was because it is a seasonal employment. So our pollinators are only employed from July to November. But why is that the case? The pollinators are only hired for pollination purposes. So why are we hiring them only for pollination? Because pollinators are not trained or assigned to do off-season jobs. So you see, the reason why we are having eye turnover rate in this case has been found that the pollinators are not trained or assigned to do off-seasonal jobs. So if we could deal with this problem of eye turnover rate and find solution to this, we'll be able to solve a lot of the problem that we're dealing with. So to solve this, we did a brainstorming on the ideas, the solution that we could implement for us to get rid of the eye turnover rate. Next slide, please. So this as a group, we sat down and also did the brainstorming. So these are the ideas we thought, the solutions that we thought could solve our high turnover rate of pollinators. So as we thought, if we align the number of pollination to the number of staffs, this could help. We also thought of refresher training for pollinators, give some incentives to the pollinators. So all these were the solutions we came up with. And then we thought we can't solve all these problems at once. We can't apply these solutions at once, sorry. We can't apply them at once. So we need to find a way of prioritizing them. In this case, we need to use a tool called priority matrix, which can help us prioritize which problem we can solve first for us to actually solve the problem, which were the cause which are dealing with, which is the eye turnover rate. So we used the tool called priority matrix. Next slide, please. So in the priority matrix, this actually help us to help us to rank which problem would give us will need to be solved first according to the score. So in the priority matrix, there are 3 categories which will help us to score the ideas, the solutions that we found. So if you see there's a focus area, which is the high turnover rate, and then there are items which are our solutions that we proposed. So we are looking at the 3 categories that help us now to actually give a score to these items that we are trying to use as our solutions. So there's impact, quality, and cost. So the score is 0, 5, and 9, as you can see below the table. So then the highest score that we found as we did the priority matrix score was that if we could give the fresher training for pollinators, this should be our priority. And it also engaged in team building activities with pollinators. It also gave us a high score. Then the other one is give job security to experienced pollinators. The highlighted in yellow were grouped among the highlighted in yellow were found that all these are falling under the where we needed to buy equipment and yes, for pollinators. So you find that another one was we have the one which scored 23, provide adequate tools to facilitate the job requirements. So this is where most of these fall, like introduce pollen testing kit. We thought it falls under the 2, and also find ways of securing funds for pollinators. This is job security. So that's why we didn't give scores to these ones. We had to group them in one of these items. So to help us now, since we've done our priority matrix and we know which focus areas we need to actually, or the items which we need to give a priority, we went on to now do our planning, because we just can't start working without plan. So to do that, we did a Gantt chart. And to help me with explaining more on the Gantt chart is Teresa, and she also do the control plan. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Christabel, for that nice presentation. So we move on to the Gantt charts, which is one of the tools that we learn in continuous improvement. So this chart helps us to know when to do what and who is going to be responsible. So in this project, we will start in February. Of course, we've started already in preparing the project presentation. That is gone. Then we presented the project to the EIB during the operational meeting. That's what we are doing right now. Then in the week 4 of this month, we hope to see the project's implementation commencing. And then in March, we want to take audit of the past and present pollinators to know what is the actual turnover that we have currently. And the second week of March, we want to see the HR, having all these pollinators, if possible, in a meeting and ask whether they are still interested in picking up the job again, if there is opportunity for that anyway. In week 3, we make requests to supply chain for the air freight of importation of all the materials that will be needed in the pollination activities for the year. And in week 4 of March, our unit meeting with pollinators past and present. And then in April, throughout April, only in 3rd week, we will not be having anything. We have the establishment of the yam crossing block. Then the HR will be empowered or will be requested to make appointment to the interested pollinators. Then in 2nd week of April, we'll do team building and the job assurance to those people as a form of motivation. Then in week 4 of April, we will assemble and brief the team in Ibadan, Abuja on the activities. Then in May, the establishment and monitoring of fields will continue. And then in June, refresher training on pollination. Then we will assign the expected number of flowers to be pollinated based on pollen viability test anyway. Then in July to the rest of the year is the pollination activities. And under it, highlighted in yellow, sorry, that's not so clear, is the responsible persons. We can have different people that are responsible for the achievement of that. Next slide, please. And the control plan is a tool to that will help us to know what we really want to, what we have achieved, the responsible person, the frequency of checking, and the acceptable level. For example, to reduce the pollinators turnover, the HR and the head of the unit is expected to be responsible for this, and this will be checked annually. At least 10% loss of the pollinator may be acceptable. The increase in pollination success rates. The yam breeding team is going to be responsible using the pollination data, and it's something that can be checked monthly, and we hope to see 50% success rates. To apply SOP, the team is also responsible, and annually it will be reviewed, and at least 70% of the activities should be documented. The availability of storage facility for seed and pollens, the breeders will be responsible, as they are the one that can really say that there is money for that. And this facility is expected to last for at least 5 years, And then, of course, it has to be 100% on ground before it can be fully utilized. And then provision of conveniences around the pollination block. The breeders will be responsible for this. And this may be seasonal, like when that field is no longer in use, it can be taken out to another plot. Then we hope to see this also being there 100% for it to be functional. So that brings us to the end of the presentation. Thank you everyone for your attention.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we already have questions here. This room is on fire today. So, Mr. Wilson, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. The ladies and men that presented the for about yam Sigley. You told us some challenges, but I didn't see where you provide solution for them. I think that should have been the plot of the whole thing. You said about low pollination sources, 20 to 26. Talk about poor storage facility, talk about the poor seed germination, seed carter, etc. Well, I think to me, the essence of this study should have been such you tell us what we should do to get all these things right. But I didn't see anything of such. I don't know if you don't want to tell us, maybe you want to hide the technology.
Okay, that's a top secret, like we've been saying.
Like
so,
scientists.
no, let's get the feedback, please. The challenge has been extended to see what the other team has to reply.
Okay, I can go first.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much thank you for the question. So what we learned in continuous improvement is that we've identified those challenges that you've highlighted for us very well, but we can't solve them at once. In as much as we would want to solve them at once, we need to have a focus on what we can go with maybe at first, and then we continue solving them. So if you saw when we started the root cause analysis, we picked one of them, which was the low pollination success. So that was the main problem that we thought of solving first, but we're still coming in to solve all the other problems. But in this presentation, we only focused on one problem, which we highlighted on how we are going to solve it. I think we gave the solutions, and we gave a way in which we are going about solving it. But with the others, we acknowledge we have not indicated, but we are still coming back and do a presentation on them and finish up, because we still have the storage and the others that we identified. Thank you so much. My colleagues can contribute as well.
Thank you. Yeah, let Francis wants to.
The low pollination from agronomic aspect.
Yeah.
I think people should use a booster. Use booster or macronutrient.
Who's going to do it? That's the question. The thing that they were saying that they need, I believe you mentioned that there was a problem with the technical development or with the labor, right?
No, I'm just saying maybe that could be a solution.
Maybe a technical issue.
So
yes, Mr. Wilson, you're not providing personnel for them to.
No, there's personnel. She's just dodgy. You try that, you will see. What? Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, Teresa and team. Based on some part of your presentation, I was discussing personnel as one of your major challenges, and equally profiling solutions, telling us that there will be a meeting with the HR and the breeders, so to say. Now, my questions is this: if by virtue of the existing HR procedure or policies, which we understand has not been stable so far, your team or those active stakeholders which you are which you are using to pollinate, if they don't fall in lines or if their curriculums doesn't fall in lines with the present policy, how do you intend to walk around that or walk over that? I think these are quite sensitive areas, because in the past I could see staff, just like we are saying, guys will need to leave if they are not given the hope. If their hope are not ignited, they don't need to stay. Hanging someone on a short-term contract for a decade, how do you intend to? And he's working his ass off, and nothing is happening with so many, because of the presence of some epileptic policies, which they feel is frustrating. How do you intend to encourage that? If they are privileged to get something better, they will definitely leave. So please, I think we need to look into all these sensitive areas, and I will appreciate if the breeders too could see it as a very important call for them to make sure they have a consistent and encouraging results for their research work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that a comment or a question?
Both.
It's both, actually. It's both, actually.
Okay. So the question aspect of it, human kinetics is dynamic. The breeders are the ones that control everything in the present day system. They call the shots because they write the proposals, they win the funds, and they allocate the funds in accordance with what the donors want. So that is the reason why it appears as if the HR is less visible. Now, the proposal we are giving is that the HR has the record. Please give us the record. We want to call all these people if they are still available. The pool of pollinators, if they are still available. We want to start from the known to the unknown. We want to bring them together. We want to see how much of them we can have, because they already have some experiences that we can retrain, and they can be useful than picking a greenhorn and just, let's put it that way, and training somebody that doesn't know anything about it. You know, for example, in banana, how difficult it is to breed banana. So there is no doubt that we have to talk. Operations will have to talk with breeding. And we are kickstarting the process, and we are sure that when people are persuaded that this is the way to go, in the interest of their work, they will gladly do it. Thank you.
Okay.
Team lead.
Teresa, you wanna?
Yes, with what he has said, just to add to that, of course, we have a lot of them that have left. They've left for better. Even if you call them back, they are not interested. Another thing that I want us to know is that in pollination, we may not necessarily need a lot of people if we have the system automated. Now, these few people that we have, if you still ask them to work for 6 months in a year and go, we will eventually lose them. So what we are talking about now is just to make sure that we are not losing any of those ones that we have currently. And if at all they are going, like that within that pool, let there be quite a number of them that will be retained in the system. For example, if we need 5 of them in a year, we said 10% loss is okay for us. At least one of them is living in a year. So maybe that is not bad. Not that they will not move at all, but at least not so many of them will be needed with automation, and that the few ones that will be on ground, you know, will not be asked to just work for short term and go. Thank you.
Right. Yes, you want to?
Yes, thank you very much. I think it's like we're not capturing what I said. the system which we belong to right now, I wouldn't say of tomorrow, but right now, you were talking of 10%. 10% in research, especially when it comes to manpower, and when you are talking of quality, is huge. That 10% could cause a lot of destruction to the chain of production. Now, looking into that, these are sensitive areas. Take, for instance, a breeder had to make a recommendation for those groups which you call your productive line. We need these guys to do this and to do that. Now, the HR has their policies, which might not be friendly to the breeders, neglecting the fact that this breeder wrote a proposal and this proposer brought in those funds. They could tell you so many things to tell you, sorry, we can absorb this guy. Given one or two instances, he did electrical electronics, he did this and that, his whatever is not relevant. Forgetting that what the breeder wants to see is the results, the productiveness, the idea he has on that line of action. That's none of their own business. They are really just about what they call culture of ethics, which is not a good language to the breeder. How do we intend to speak to these people, or how do we intend to bridge that gap?
Okay, well, just to keep one thing in perspective here. We're going back to the idea of us and them. And again, our politics or our policy is we are to combine everything together. Okay, so this has to be a joint plan committee for the year. HR should be involved. If it is a matter of employment, HR should be involved. If it's a matter of lack of labor or adequate labor, they should be involved. But this is up to the management, okay, to convey this. This is up to a committee that needs to work this through. This is up to you as breeders and operational teams to work together to find that solution or find this gap and convey the same message to everybody else. Otherwise, we will still be preaching to each other, you know, going back and forth on whose responsibility is whom and why this hasn't been done, etc. And one thing that I have to agree with Francis is that the breeder dictates what has to be done. However, we have to inform them as operations, okay, what we can do. Okay, this has to be something that we can collaborate together in order for us to come to a common goal and achieve what we need to target. Your comment, please. Yes.
All right, thank you. I just want to ask, or at the same time suggest, because of the pattern that I've noticed now is that at the end of the crossing cycle now, there's a gap, there's a breach. Because of that, the breeder might decide to lay off these guys. Is there a plan to integrate them into other aspects of the system, like the feed aspect, and all?
It is part of our proposal that they will do non-pollination jobs off-season. There are lots of things that can be done in the yam breeding cycle. So it doesn't have to be pollination alone. When they are not pollinating, they can be part of other things. So they will not be idle. We don't want idleness being created in the area of wastes, 8 wastes. So they will be engaged, constructively engaged. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. John.
Okay, thank you so much. Nice discussions here. I just wanted to say that I think we are talking about the current state where the breeder dominates everything. The future state is whereby the hiring manager for these people is operations that will hire the people. The breeder will just be there to request for pollination and will receive this seed. Operations does all the work. Again, the teamwork that we are talking about is that these people and everyone inside here, we're not going to be doing one job only. we are going to be involved in so many other things. So we are saying now, why are these people only doing pollination and go home? So what we are saying is they have got to be retrained or find their other capabilities so that they have more than one activity involved in it, EiB-IITA, so that they'll be able to orient. The selection of these people will not be done by HR. It will be done by operations. You are the ones who are going to tell us the kind of people you want. It's been here pollinating for 5 years. Maybe that's what you are going to say. 10 years, this and that. From your records, we need contacts for the following people. HR gives you those contacts. You get the people. HR will just facilitate the process, but the hiring will be done by operations. But like we are saying in the morning, HR has to be part of the continuous improvement that we're doing. Finance has to be part of it. Going back to the irrigation team, FMS has to be part of the team. I saw that most of the issues are to do with FMS giving you 1 hour out. But if FMS was part of the planning that you do, because they're a very important stakeholder when it comes to irrigation, they have to be part of it. You find that over time they will understand even the allocation of water, they will prioritize it better for banana because they know how important is banana. But as it is now, they look at banana like someone who wants to irrigate his garden at home. They are looking at it at that level. So it's the team spirit whereby we have all to come together and work as one team. And we score as a team, not as individuals. It will take a bit of time, but that's the future state that we're trying to drive. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's a good summary on that. So I have one last question here, and since we are in the continuous improvement process, so how did you feel about being introduced to lean methodologies and continuous improvement while working on the issues that you're facing and the problems that you need to resolve, okay, across your work environment?
Can I go first?
Yes, please go ahead.
Oh yes, for me it's been interesting and exciting because when we just started, how everything was just uncovering, and now we're able to come up with solutions, and it was really a good journey for me. And I've used this in the soybean as well. I've come up with something for soybean, so it's been amazing. That's all I can say. And thanks for allowing us or giving us this opportunity. And thanks to Teresa, she's really a good teacher. She was really patient with us, and she ran us through, and we were able to get each and every point, and she could advise us the best way to do to understand the tools and how we can apply them even practically at home and anywhere else. So it's actually something everyone should be able to learn, because it's something you can apply even in your everyday life. And it's just amazing and very much interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Cristobal. Thanks, Francis. Sorry.
Murphy.
One of you.
Yeah, thank you very much. That question was quite interesting. Just like every human being, we appreciate every developmental stage. To me, I see it as a catalytic opportunity for productiveness when we come across such an opportunity or a privilege. In so many ways, every participant has one or two testimonies to say, because it has really changed our scope of our orientation, and the so-called team spirit itself has gained more potential. So that tells us that coming together will give us better results for the future. I will say once more, thank you for all stakeholders for this a wonderful initiative, which I am sure will take us to a higher promised land.
Well said, sir. Thanks. Francis, sorry for interrupting before.
When we started initially, I had a lot of challenges, especially of internet connectivity. But sitting down, my confidence level even on CI was very low. But now, this is something that one can take home, that after retirement, you can start a consultancy.
Oh.
Man, yes, now after retirement now, and you sit down your client and you start saying, what is it that you want? Okay, let's interrogate the system. No, this is exciting. And when you have a boss who is not threatened by your rising, thank you, Mr. Ali, is not terrorized by our rising. So he involved us. So we must give kudos to him. Then we must also thank our trainer. She said there is no bad contribution. So when we are even saying nonsense, yeah, that's good. Let's look at it from this point. And then you correct yourself. No, she's been exciting. She's been wonderful. You know, I look forward to going for that meeting. There was a time I had to travel. I told everybody around me, please keep quiet. I have something to do. I'm sitting down for the next 3 hours. Please. And I can confidently say it's worth the while. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Teresa, this is your competition here talking, huh? So he's
Okay.
in a few years he's gonna take your job.
That's great. That's great.
To actually add to what Mr. Francis said, I think one thing that I've learned personally, apart from the O2s have been wonderful. They've been like exceptional. The 5X and the 8 ways, the fishbone, the root cause analysis, all of that has been wonderful. We've been using that in our various stations. But one thing I actually learned, apart from the training, that I learned personally from Teresa is people's management. The way she managed us, being that we're new to it, and the initial stage was kind of like challenging. There was no interest, but she managed us properly. And in fact, there was communication challenges, you know, accent and language and all of that. And she's like, come again, you know, like she managed us perfectly. And that's one thing I actually learned from her. Thank you so much for your time, Teresa. Thanks.
Teresa Yam.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to participate in this program. Right from the day one when I saw my involvement in this, I'm like, there is something in here for me to make me perform better. And personally, I love improvement. When I see something, I feel like, can we do it better? And this program has actually empowered me to communicate the kind of change that I like to see. It has helped me in team building. Mr. Francis had been my Oga when I was working in Abuja station, and Christabel is someone I'd never met. And here we are talking together even on WhatsApp. So it has helped me so much in team building. And when you see something that you want to really improve on, in this class, I have learned about tools for improvements, how to go about it, what are the things to probe, how should you probe it, and how do you communicate the changes. So I want to appreciate the management team for giving us this grace, for giving us this opportunity to learn more, and we look forward to implementing that in our day-to-day activities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Olabode?
I want to say thank you, a very big thank you to Starlick, Prof. Derera, Stamia, Felicius, and Teresa herself. The way they train you on food, we never saw it coming that way. It taught us communication, the need for communication within the team. And I must say, the soybean team, we are the most lucky. I have myself and Christabel all the way from Zambia. I've started actually putting this into the practical. We had to call our bosses into a meeting, and they were surprised. They were like, "Why did you learn this? When did you learn this?" And because of that, the need for having a meeting like every third week of the month. And it's not important that we have to come together. And sometimes before now, we might not meet in a quarter. But now it's so important that they want to meet. They want to meet so that we can communicate the work plan and how it's going. And this is what the CI has taught us. It's just from the CI. And I want to say thank you. God bless you.
Nice, thanks. Gift. Isn't it nice that we're talking the same language? Go ahead.
Yeah. I think I must as well extend my gratitude, obviously, to the continuous improvement team and all the trainers. I think as at now, personally, I can say theoretically, this thing is almost there. But then what remains, I think, because it involves different stakeholders, the breeders and other people involved. It's not going to be easy, I know. It's going to take a while for us to blend, and considering the fact that we want to centralize everything, it is going to involve taking certain responsibilities away and taking them to the operations, so that we leave the breeders to do their jobs and concentrate on breeding. So in that transitioning, I see that maybe we are going to need a bit of patience, because obviously some of these responsibilities won't be easy to let go, because obviously they are accustomed to doing things the way they do. So it's going to take a bit of time, especially when we at the point of transition, because I'm already picturing myself back home, sitting down with the breeders and now introducing this whole thing. Yeah, I know Christabel is hearing me. Yeah, but I think it's going to be an interesting journey. We need patience and understanding.
Definitely.
Yes, thank you.
It's the saying goes, a trip for 1,000 miles starts from one step. So Teresa, in closing, would you like to say anything to everyone before we close this session?
Thank you for the opportunity, Amir. I'm very, very proud of all of you for sticking with it and working through it. We have a couple more projects from the class that are still being worked on. And it's my privilege to work with all of you. I just enjoy everybody I've met and everybody I've worked with. And I'm so excited for your future. And we, you you've said a lot of things. There's going to be some challenges. It won't be easy all the time. Perseverance, just like Gustavo says, keep moving forward step by step. And you've got great support there. Your leaders will help you with all of the barriers that you come up against, and you've got what the problem-solving method is. It's just pretty darn solid. It's solid, and when you can present all the information that you did in this type of a presentation, people just can't say no. They can't say no to you because you've proven this is what we need to do to move forward. So congratulations. And again, I just am so proud of you and feel very blessed to be a part of this. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Teresa.